Hi everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining me. This is Jana with Purple Girl Crafts. Today's card is another fun fold card. As you can see when you open this up, it says ouch. The witch has gone into the brick wall. She will move up and down when you pull the lever. I did do a similar post on Instagram. I did a skeleton. This one's just a little bit different. This requires no die cuts. I did design the witch myself. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need is the first piece is going to be cut at 10 by 6.5. And then we can go ahead and score that, and you're just going to score that at 5 inches right in the center. And then we'll just put that off to the side. Then we need one piece, and this is going to be cut at 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. Then we need two pieces, and these will be cut at 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, and these will be for the inside of the card. Then we need two pieces, and these are going to be cut at 4 1/2 by 6. And on this one I just did around the edges with some ink, and then this one I wanted a brick wall, so I just used the same ink to stain it. But what I did is I actually went through and I just did the lines. I started on this side and did all the lines first, and then I went back through and did the brickwork pattern. So that did take a little bit of time, but it does add a little bit of dimension to the front of the card. Next, we need two pieces, and these are going to be cut at 1 inch by 6 inches, and those will be for the mechanism. So we're done with our scoreboard, so we're going to move that out of the way. And we're going to start with the front of the card. So we have this first piece that is the shiny paper, and we're going to put that brick piece on top of it. That's just to add a little bit of color to the front. So I'm going to use my glue on this one. You could use your tear tape. So I'm just going to glue the first piece to the front of the card. I'll make sure that has an even border all the way around. And then I'm going to take my bone folder, but instead of doing it this side, I'm going to turn it upside down just so I can put a little bit more pressure. Just make sure that glue is pressed out. Right, now we need to cut our slit into this piece. So I'm going to grab the trimmer. In the middle of this is about 2 3/8. So we're going to line this up right on the other side of that line. And then once we have it, we're just going to start at about 1.5 inches from the bottom, and then go 1.5 inches down from the top. Then I'm going to pick up my paper. I'm just going to move it just a little bit so I have just a little bit of groove, and I'm going to cut the same thing again. So just like that. I know it's hard to see. So I move my trimmer, and I'm just going to take my my knife, and I'm just going to cut this. Just going to put a cut at the top and the bottom of this slit. And then you want to remove that piece. And so this is what you should have. You just want it just probably about 1/8 of an inch, just to hold the little circle pieces that are going to sit inside of it. So with that, we need 4 circles, and these are about 5/8 of an inch. And I just used a hole punch to punch these. And we're going to take 2 of these. Now we have 4 of them. We're going to take 2 of them, and we're going to fold them in half. And then we'll crease out that fold. I'm going to move these other 2 out of the way because we don't need these quite yet. Just sit them over here on the orange paper so you can see them. And we're going to feed these into that slit. So we're going to go on one side. So just put it in so it looks like that. I'll turn it over so you can see. And then we're going to put the other one right next to it, go in the opposite direction. And then just line those up so they're even. And then once you have them even, Just lay them out flat. I'm going to use my bone folder. As soon as I get these laid down, just crease out that fold again. And then we're going to put just a dab of glue on here. And then we're going to put one of the circles on top of it. I'm just making sure it stays lined up. And then just put that circle right on top. And then you want to make sure this moves freely so that there's no glue that is sticking to the underside of it so it doesn't get stuck. And you can just do any adjustments as you need. Right, we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the other circle on this side. This just holds it in place so it doesn't go through the slit. So we'll glue that down. And again, making sure it's on there and making sure it slides. All right, so we'll move that off to the side for a minute. Now for the two pieces, and this will be for the lever, we're just going to glue these together. This just adds a little bit of weight and stability to it. So just secure one on top of the other, just like that. All right, we're going to let that dry for a minute. And now we're going to work on the inside of the card. So we're going to fold that in half. And then we'll crease out that fold. Just like that. Okay. So next, we're going to put those two orange pieces inside the card. And then we're going to put that pattern piece on the right side. Or not the pattern piece, the paper that I inked up. And again, you can use your tear and tape if you wanted. All right, so that is the inside of the card. Then I've got some letters. And these just say, ouch. So I thought that would be hilarious. So I'm just lining these up just to make sure they're lined up and how far I want them there in the middle. And then I'm going to put that piece of wasabi tape on it just to hold them so that I can turn it over and then add my Barely Art glue. I'm just going to dab this on here. And then we'll flip that back over. And then we'll just put this right on the inside of the card. Then I'll leave that sit there for a minute just so it can dry. I'm going to grab some very, very old ink. It's purple and the stamp says Happy Halloween. And I'm just going to stamp this right at the bottom of the card. Just like that. So that will be the inside of the card. So I'm going to move that tape, making sure I don't pull my letters off. There, perfect. Now this piece on the top of the card, so making sure that will move freely, this is going to sit on the top of the card. So I'm going to push the lever all the way down. And then we are going to put our lever on the inside, just like this. So it's going to sit right on here. Now we don't want this to go past 7 inches, but before we do that, we also are going to add an extra little piece. And I didn't give you dimensions. This is a piece of scrap, and I'm just putting it on there and folding it over. So I want it to just be a little piece that will help the bar slide and stay in place. So I'm just measuring it. I'm just going to cut off just a little bit extra that's on the end because we don't need it to stick out. And then we're just going to glue this closed. You can take it off if you are too worried about getting glue on the lever. So just put a little dab of glue on there and then just make sure that it closes and that it will still slide, so you don't want it to be too tight. Okay, so then I just remove that and we'll set that aside. So now the lever is going to sit on here. It doesn't have to go all the way down. You want it to be about a 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch from the top, because the card itself is 6.5 and you can go to 7 inches. So the black piece measured 6.5. So I'm just lining this up on one of my lines. Again, so we can go to 7 inches. So we've got just a little bit of room to add this. So I'm just kind of lining it up to see where I want to put it. We're going to put glue on that circle. And then we're going to place this on top of the circle. Again, making sure we're not over that 7-inch mark. You want to give that just a few seconds to dry. So while that's on there, I'm just going to put my hand on it to hold it. I'm going to put this little sliding piece back on. Again, making sure that it slides. And then you want to make sure this is lined up before you do glue it down, that it's straight. I'm just going to lift it up, put glue on the underside of that little sliding piece. And then just lay it back down, again, making sure it's straight. And that it doesn't go too far down because it will be a stopper for that lever too, so it doesn't go out of the card. And just make sure those are secure. And then again, just try it just to make sure that it does slide and that it doesn't get stuck. Okay, now before we put that piece on, I'm going to pull out the witch. Now this is something that I drew and then I cut out each piece. So each one, the legs have to have 2 pieces to be able to move. And on her hat, I did some just tree branches as the hair. So I'm just going to lay these out to show you where they're going to go. Her arms will go up here and then her head will go there. So just like that. So now what we need to do is we need to punch holes in all of these. And I'm just going to use a poker. So let me move the card base out of the way. And we're just going to poke holes. Just going to poke holes on every piece, top and bottom, where we need to secure it. If you have a hole punch, you could use it, but it might be too big, so I'm just using my poker. And I'm trying to make sure that I hold the pieces so I don't bend them. There's a lot of these to poke through. The shoes I did do I did an extra piece on the back just to make them a little bit thicker. And I did use the accent, paper accent to give the paper a little bit of shiny color. Oops. All right, so to secure these, all we're going to do is we're going to take some brads. I'm going to match the shoes to the legs, so I'm going to use orange brads on the bottom. I'm just going to secure the shoe to the bottom piece. And then secure the next top of the leg to the bottom part of the leg. And just making sure that you don't do them too tight so they do have movement to, or they can move. All right, so we'll do the next one. Doing the same thing. I like to turn them upside down and then force the brad apart. It's just easier than trying to do it with your nail. We'll do the arms next. We're going to use purple on these because the dress is purple, or the cape is purple. And you want to put all the pieces on before you go ahead and glue it down. The hat will be next. We're just going to poke a hole in the top of the head and then in the back of the hat. We're going to use a purple one on that one. And their legs, I'm just going to do them almost in the middle, but not quite the middle. This will just give her just a little bit more room to move. So we're going to secure the legs to the body. So this is about how she's going to sit. So we're going to glue her to the circle. So I'm going to just put glue on the circle again. And then we're going to put the body on top. I'm just going to glue it right at the very base of the dress. So just like that. And you just want to give this a second to dry before you start pulling on it because it will pull off. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it there for a second, just really making sure the glue is down. Okay, so she will move. Now for her feet, the closer you put her feet together at the bottom, the better she'll move. Okay, so she does move freely. So I'm gonna put her feet all the way at the bottom, just like this, and pretty close together, because that way she's got just a little bit of extra room. So once you decide where you want the feet to go, we're gonna glue those down, because they need to be stationary. And you could not, and then the whole body would move, but then it doesn't give you the same effect. So I'm just gonna put glue on both her feet. And then just secure those down. Again, you want to make sure these are fully dry before you start pulling on it. Hold them just to make sure that it's working. They still need just a little bit of time to dry. So I'm really just trying to make sure that glue is down. Okay, that works. All right, so then we're going to put an arrow on the top so that that person that gets the card knows to pull the lever. So there's just a small orange arrow that I cut out. And we're just going to put it right at the top in the center. Just going to pull this out just to make sure I have it in the center. Move it over just a tiny bit. Make sure there's no extra glue. And then we're going to secure this to the card, so I make sure I got the front of the card. So this is just going to sit on the card. You do not need to use your double-sided foam tape. This does not require any extra thickness. You can just glue this down. Because of the lever, it will move up and down because it's on the inside. All right, so that is the card we made. Now her hands and her head will move around. So you can position her any way you want. And again, for the hair, I took a tree that I had die cut it out, and then cut it up and use that for the hair. So that is the card that we made today. I want to thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Until next time, happy crafting, and I hope to see you real soon. P.S. Check me out on Facebook. Thanks. Bye-bye.